Hey. There's Jaquez against Ellis. Got it blocked. Keon Ellis took his cornbread. Wow.
Alright, Joel, so far, this has not been the season that the Sacramento Kings and their fan base have been hoping for. If you missed the big news just a couple of weeks ago, they fired their head coach Mike Brown, and this was a pretty abrupt and somewhat surprising move, especially considering Mike Brown had just led the Kings to their best season in about 2 decades back in 2022. When the Kings made the 3rd seed, he even won the Coach of the Year award, and even this past offseason, Kings signed him to a 3-year extension, so all those things come together, and the fact that they just fired him, it was kind of a shocking move, because Mike Brown certainly isn't a bad coach. Again, he just won the Coach of the Year award, the most highest honor of a coach can even get outside of winning a championship. But when you consider that the team was 13-18 after a 6-game losing streak, it does make sense that the team would want to make some sort of change of scenery, switch up the vibes a little bit to try and reignite their season. And obviously, I'm not in the locker room, I'm not in the facilities, I don't know the real reasons why Mike Brown was fired, but from what I've heard, I think there might have been some sort of a disconnect with DeMar DeRozan. It was allegedly said that he wanted to bring DeRozan off the bench, which isn't the best look to, bench your franchise's biggest free agent acquisition potentially in their entire history. But one tangible thing that I could certainly point to as perhaps one of, if not the biggest error Mike Brown made during his time over the past couple seasons is simply just not playing Keon Ellis more. For those of you who might not be aware or familiar with Keon Ellis's name, he is in his 3rd year, 24-year-old guard who came onto the scene, exploded, had a big breakout end of the season last year with the Sacramento Kings, helped them win a couple of games towards the end of the season amidst a lot of injuries, and then this season was just weirdly in and out of the rotation despite playing some of the best basketball of any player on the Sacramento Kings. In fact, if we want to even just look at some stats real quick, Keon Ellis, in games that he has started the last 2 seasons, Sacramento is 19-10 in those games, which is good for a 65% win percentage, which, just to relate it to current day basketball, that would place them 3rd in the Western Conference as of today. Now, luckily, new interim head coach Doug Christie has made the switch and is giving Keon Ellis more time. In fact, we can even just look at the difference between the 2 coaches. Mike Brown was playing him at around 20 minutes per game, while Christie has upped that to almost 30 minutes a game. Which, again, it's a simple solution, but it is certainly paying off, especially considering the fact that if you look at just raw plus-minus across the entire season, Keon Ellis is 1st on the entire Sacramento Kings team with a plus-minus of plus 132. Now, Sabonis, their star player, is just 1 point behind him. Plus-minus obviously isn't a end-all be-all stat, but considering that 3rd place is Malik Monk all the way at 94, clearly Keon Ellis and Domantas Sabonis are a tier above the rest so far this season in just strictly terms of scoring more points than the other team while they are on the court. And if the stats are not good enough for you, then you'll be happy to hear that the eye test is even better when it comes to Keon Ellis, as he is slowly cementing himself and becoming one of the elite role players in the NBA. Again, he is only 24 years old, so there is plenty of basketball ahead of him. He has an extremely high motor. On the offensive side of the ball, he is a career 42% shooter from 3, so he can knock down open looks. He's even shown some ability to hit shots off the dribble, get to the rim, but for the most part, he's just a 3-and-D, connected passer, always seems to make the right play on the offensive side of the court. But the real prize when it comes to Keon Ellis' game is him on the defensive side of the ball. Even just this game against the Miami Heat was a really great example of how awesome Keon Ellis is and how quickly he can blow up a game, as he was giving Tyler Herro and Jaime Jaquez Jr. absolute fits on that end of the court. Not only does he have really active hands, which means that he's able to get a whole lot of steals when players either drive to the rim, but he's also great at the point of attack at just putting pressure on opposing ball handlers and getting steals up in that area of the court as well. But even when it just comes to simply sliding his feet, Again, guarding Tyler Herro, had a couple of awesome possessions against him where he is just hounding him, not letting him get any open looks off at all, forcing the toughest shot possible. These are just something that the Sacramento Kings have desperately needed at the guard position for the last couple of seasons, which again makes it even more puzzling as to why Mike Brown was not giving him more minutes. Because it's even just little plays like this one where, Bam Adebayo forces a turnover on Sabonis. It looks like the Miami Heat are about to get a pretty easy fast break opportunity, but Keon Ellis, being the huge hustler that he is, makes the extra effort to attack the ball handler immediately. It slows him up, it stops a fast break, and it prevents the Miami Heat from potentially getting an easy bucket. And it's that kind of play right there that is a perfect example of the kind of player that Keon Ellis is. Another player that stood out to me from watching this game was the Kings rookie Devin Carter, who just came back from the shoulder injury and is finally playing his first NBA games. Despite the fact that he still looks a little rusty and he's not getting that much playing time, he's looked really solid so far. And what's kind of ironic is he does a lot of the same things that Keon Ellis does, except I'd say he's more of a point guard than like the combo wing type of guy that Keon Ellis is. But regardless, he does a lot of the same things. Again, just a great hustle guy, great at driving to the rim and forcing pressure on the defense. Also a really pesky defender that likes to get his hands into passing lanes and on shot attempts, which once again is the exact kind of player that the Sacramento Kings need right now. Anyway, since the Kings made the switch over to Doug Christie, they are 5-1, and if we take a quick look at the comparison between the two coaches when it comes to the advanced stats, we will see that the team has improved in pretty much every area of the game. There's been a slight boost in the offensive rating, a slight boost in the defensive rating, but a much bigger boost in the overall net rating, as they are currently 4th in those 6 games with Doug Christie. I think a lot of people are writing off this team a bit too soon. I think they saw Mike Brown get fired and the vibes were just at an all-time low, and they were ready to just say that the Kings are done this season, which isn't true at all. Again, they've won 5 of their last 6 games. They are playing like one of the better teams in the NBA during that stretch, and although I still don't necessarily view them as a contender, they are certainly a team that I am going to be watching more over the second half of the season, because they are a team with a lot of talent and they've played really good basketball before, so there's no reason for them to all of a sudden just drop dead. But if there is one thing that I do know for certain, it's that Keon Ellis should be playing no less than 25 minutes a night for the rest of his tenure as a Sacramento King. And that's all I got for this one. As always, if you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of those good things, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.